energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Talk Today is brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What's on your mind, Cayman? If you're ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Discussing current events and local news, community spotlights, hot topics, listener stories, cultural and historical discussions, environmental issues, fun and lighthearted topics, guest interviews. Cayman, basically anything you want to talk about, we are ready to listen. Here's your guest host, Charles Glidden.
Coming up next, are you ready to pay more for fuel? Talk about it on Open Line. Later in the show, we turn our attention to supporting families of children with Down syndrome. Talk Today's next on Radio Cayman, 50 years strong. Stay with me.
Talk Today is reminding you
to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Talk Today. I'm Charles Glidden. Thank you for checking in with me. I hope you're having a good day. The National Day of Prayer is underway out there on the Glass House lawn. I heard some gospel music playing as I drove in here. And you can still catch some of that if you'd like to. It goes until 12:50. So still about a half hour left of the National Day of Prayer proceedings out there on the lawn of the old Glass House. You know, I didn't realize schools are already out. There was so little traffic this morning, I thought someone had taken the cars or something. You know, I was like, where are all the cars? I tell you, it's absolutely amazing the difference that it makes when school is out on the traffic. You know, it's like someone just cleared everything up, right? And it'll be back though, so enjoy it while it lasts, right? Well, tourists are loving Cayman. 2026 is off to what might very well be a record-breaking year for Cayman's tourism sector. The people in North America are loving Cayman. The latest figures coming in for February, the Cayman Islands welcomed over 49,000 stayover visitors in February. And that represents a 10.1% increase year over year. And that's the first, that's the second strongest February on record, just below the 3% mark set. That's the all-time high set in 2020. So things are getting back up to where we were pre-COVID. We do have a caller on the line. Let's see what's on their mind. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Glidden. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay, well, just sitting and thinking about the situation on our island. I'm glad to hear that they had was it today, the day of prayer? Was it?
Yeah, it's happening right now out there on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lawn of the glass
Well,
house.
that is good. That is good. But we don't need to do that. I don't know how often we do it a year, but since this, since like maybe September last year, I've been hearing some stuff that is happening on our island, and if the Cayman Islands ever needed prayer, it is at this time. We're a small
What were you
country,
thinking about? I
or
mean, like what
small
things?
island. Pardon?
What things were you thinking about that we need prayer for?
Well, it's a lot of evilness going around in this island. I've heard about increase of witchcraft being
Oh,
done in the island, and I'm seeing stuff happening that in my New York time wasn't happening before. And we have so much different people in this island, Mr. Glidden, and we do not know who they are and living right next to us. Do you know your neighbor's background? Even if they're not, well, that's more
yeah, a
important
little
if
bit,
they're
yeah.
not from the Cayman Islands. Do you know their background?
Some of my neighbors, yeah, I know a little bit about them. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we need to know a lot about them because, sir, I'm telling you again, I'm going to repeat it so everybody in the island can hear. We have a lot of different nationalities in this island, and they are very jealous of this island. And when they come here, coming on the plane, all I can hear, my dream has come true to be in the Cayman Islands. My dream, I've been dreaming about this so long. You know, a couple of days ago, can't remember where it was. I'm getting old now. I've got no memory for new things, but old things I can remember. And I was somewhere, and I I'm walking with a walker, and I went past the place because it said for disability. And a person looked at me and said, why don't you wait behind the line? Do you know me? Mr. Glidden?
Hmm.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
When that person told me that, there was I could not speak. The lump came so quickly in my throat, and God did that to stop me from saying what I was going to say. But after I calmed down real quickly, because while they were saying that, I was praying, Lord, help me today. And I said, do you know me? I said, how long have you been here? I've been here over 30 years. I said, well, when you came, it wasn't any mosquitoes. There wasn't any smoke pans. I said, be careful because you don't know who I am. So don't tell me that you've been here 30 years. I've been here triple that almost. So I said, please. But this is the attitude. I'm not saying everybody, they got nice people here on the island. But I'm hearing them, oh, my dream has come true. The Cayman Islands.
Well,
And they're
don't you think
doing
that
a
means that
lot
they're
of,
just glad to be in Cayman, that they have the opportunity to be here,
yeah,
and they're
yeah, they're
going
glad to be
a
here.
better life than where they're
Opportunity
coming
there.
from?
This is paradise. This is paradise. I hear them calling it paradise.
Yeah,
And I
sure.
tell them it's not paradise no more.
Well,
To
to a lot of
us,
people it
it's not
is.
paradise. Sure. They come here, but they're bringing their way of life on this island. And witchcraft and evilness and jealousy is being increased in the island.
But
And
George,
we need to pray for this island. Every 2 months we need to get together and pray.
but George,
And even people that are going out to pray are not praying with a sincere heart. They are coming here,
even
and I'm
before
telling
the first wave of immigrants came on, right? I mean, we had our Obia man, Obia woman.
Yeah,
Not true?
yeah, sure. But were they here? Those that were doing it here learned it from someone coming in. Because when I was small, I never heard all of that going on. When I was small, and I was.
But you never heard of people practicing Obia in Cayman when you were younger?
Yes. When after I got to like teenager, sure. But what I'm saying, it was brought in from somewhere else.
You sure?
The Glidden.
You sure of that?
Yeah. I'm sure that it was brought in from somewhere else. The old people that knew about it and learned it. They had to learn from somebody coming, because that wasn't our way of life. That wasn't our culture. We didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, but
when
that
people started coming here,
when people started
it,
was
all
doing
I'm
Obia,
saying,
that's a long time ago that Obia has been around.
Long time ago. But people were coming here a long time ago too.
Well, I guess.
But Mr. Glidden, all I want to say, sir,
we all came here.
Is
grandfathers and grandmothers all came here. I guess.
All I need to say today is that the Caymanian people, I mean Caymanian that born here in the Mosquito time, the one that was here in Peen, not the plain ones, not the one that fly in, Mr. Glidden. You grew up here.
Partly.
You knew our way of life. And I hope that the Ministers Association continue and put this in law that every 2 or 3 months, in fact, every quarter, yes, that's the issue it should be. Every quarter, and we got 4 quarters to the year. Every quarter, we get together, and those that come out and pray with a sincere heart, and those that don't pray with a sincere heart, only God knows, and that He is a God for all of us. But I am seeing things increasingly in this island that didn't happen before. So all I am saying, let us be careful, let us be vigilant, and let us get to know our neighbors who we live with. Have a wonderful day, Mr. Glidden.
You too.
Get to know our neighbors.
All right, you have a good afternoon. We got to take a break. Be right back.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Cineco's parametric insurance after hurricanes is now available for motor policies. Fixed automatic payouts cover incidental vehicle expenses like fuel, cleanup, and minor repairs. No claims, no damage required. $200 for comprehensive policies or $100 for third-party policies. Available exclusively through Cineco and included with all new motor insurance policies and upon renewal for current policies. Visit Cineco.ky today. Cineco. Keeping Cayman covered.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
all the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. And I have a WhatsApp message here from the BRAC, from a concerned citizen. This home, and they sent a picture of the home, was gutted. This home was gutted about 2 weeks ago, and the debris is blowing into the road. Where is the DOE, Department of Environment, or the person in charge of enforcement? This is on the west end of Cayman Brac. Well, that could be dangerous if stuff is blowing out onto the road. But give DOE a call. Give them a little nudge there by giving them the information. But apparently this stuff is blowing out onto the road and causing a hazard. And going back to the obia, the witchcraft the caller was talking about, I mean, that has always been with us. I mean, I remember reading that, the penalty at one time, this is how far back it goes. I can't remember any years or something, any dates, but there was a law, and the law was banishment. Banishment to like one of the keys or something out, on the Central American coast. And, if you were found guilty of practicing obia, they banished you, took you to a little key somewhere and left you there to survive. So it's been part of, Cayman, I don't know if you call it culture, but it's been with us because, of course, it was always looked down on. But recognize that people did practice it, and people believed in it. Back to tourism, more relevant subject for today. Yes, tourism is up, and as I was telling you, over 49,000 people stayed over with us during the month of February. And as I was saying, a lot of people are have the impression that when we say tourism is up, that it's benefiting just the hotels, the restaurants, the water sports people, taxis. But during the month of February, that was 49,000 more people out into our community, spending money. They go to the grocery stores, and a lot of tourists go to grocery stores, because a lot of them are not staying in a hotel. They're, in a condo, and you see them in the stores. And, that amount of people is one of the reasons that we can have the number of grocery stores that we have. Because that's a big shot in the population for the month, and a significant number of them are out, buying chips, buying snacks, right? Or, buying stuff to make meals with. And that adds to the viability of, you got 3 different grocery stores as far as names: Hurley's, Foster's, Kirk's, and of course Foster's is in almost every district now practically. That probably would not happen if we didn't have tourism. and the multiplier effect that it has in our country, because the money is not just staying, with the hotels and people directly working with the tourists. It multiplies, and it goes out into the community, and even the fact that some people are directly connected to tourism and they make their money, they're able to make money and spend it in the community. So the people who work in tourism have money to spend. The tourists are spending money in the community, and that's cash in circulation, which contributes to us having, this buoyant economy that we do have. And we hear people talking about, oh well, too many people coming into Cayman and the work permits and all that kind of thing. There were too many people are being allowed to come into the country. Well, if you're going to have this kind of economy, you have to have a workforce to support it. And we simply don't have enough of us to support this community, this economy that we have here, that makes us, a prosperous place to live and to have jobs. And whenever you see historically, and this is a fact, you can go back and look it up, whenever the number of work permits are up, Caymanian unemployment is down. There's a direct correlation between that, because the reason work permits are up is because there's jobs out there. So you see work permits go up, you can look for the number of Caymanians unemployed Caymanians to be down. That's a fact. So when we're complaining about the number of work permits, in fact, it's good times. The economy is good. Those people who are wanting to work, trying to work, can get jobs. And it looks like tourism is going to be, a good year, depending on, I guess, how things play out internationally. But hopefully that's not going to be impacting our tourism numbers. Canada now is, a lot of good numbers coming out of Canada, with improved airlift out of Canada. Not only airlift out of Toronto, but out of Ottawa also. So, and of course February is the time when people want to get out of Canada, right? Well, looking for some warm weather. Because I visited Canada once, and it was Christmas time. And I remember I had this, he was from Pakistan. The guy was from Pakistan that was driving the car we were taking from the airport. And he says to me, he says, Canada is a good place. He says, it's been very good to me. I've done well here. But it is cold. And yeah, it's cold, all right. If you live there, in February, you definitely want someplace warm to go to. And the Canadians are coming. They are coming to Cayman, and spending their money and making the economy good. Let's take a break. Be right back.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Good news for babies. The updated national immunization schedule now includes an important improvement to the hexavalent vaccine, protecting babies against 6 serious diseases, including hepatitis B. Hep B can cause lifelong liver problems, including cancer and cirrhosis. Your baby will get the shots at 2, 4, and 6 months, with a booster at 18 months. Vaccination trains the immune system to fight against infections and keep the community healthy. Talk to your doctor about the updated vaccine schedule today. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, Environment and Sustainability and the Public Health Department.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and it's open line here until 1:30, when we'll be hearing about supporting families of children with Down syndrome. And you are welcome to give me a call. The numbers to call, 1-800-534-8255. That is toll-free, courtesy of Flo. You can also call on 949-8037, 949-6990, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261. Well, all eyes are on the Middle East these days, as the conflict with Iran, the U.S., and Israel continues, and the price of fuel continues to climb. Oil is above $100 a barrel, and it wasn't like more expensive fuel was not known as a as a consequence of attacking Iran. Every once in a while you hear a story from inside the government, or a government, I should say, any government, that it feels like it's something like it came straight out of a political thriller. And lately, one of those stories has been making the rounds. The story of President Trump and General Dan Raisin Kane and the Strait of Hormuz. I'll get back to that. Let's take a call. Let's see what's on someone's mind. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, Charlo.
Yes, how you doing?
Man, I'm watching some cricket here, man, up in India. That's my entertainment, when it's playing, I have to be watching it, man. But I'm listening to you too.
Oh, you're multitasking.
Yeah. It's good to know that the Canadians come back to look for us, man. Trust me.
Yeah.
Because I fully believe that we made our name as a good tourist destination back in the 60s. I believe we made our name in Canada from them times there. And maybe somebody remembers that and they decide to come back to Cayman despite the more expensive now than we was, but Caymanians and Canadians had a good time back then.
The Holiday Inn?
Well, hey, look, man, it was a good time, Charlo. from the Coral Cayman, you come right down to Glidden Beach.
Galleon Beach, yeah.
Yep. It was a good time. The difference is now that the hotels don't want the natives to mix up in them anymore, so maybe the time can't be as good as it was back down in the 60s then.
But I mean, nobody's stopping us from coming to the hotel, have a drink or something. I mean,
when we used to have the beach parties on the weekend, man, that was really a good time, I tell you. Yeah, man. So, I hear you were discussing something about the OBO.
Yeah, our first caller was saying that it's coming from, come from overseas. But I remember hearing about that as a kid.
All the way from Africa, my friend. Every Caribbean country that went through slavery, they got that sin. It must be a sin, you understand? And they got people practicing that all through the Caribbean. It's more than in Cayman Islands. One time I heard people in the East End used to practice that, but I don't know really paid that no mind, shallow. Until this day, you understand? I don't really believe in that, but it could be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about different nationalities and things, but we do have the Haitian here, but there's some deadly places with this thing called Obia. Honduras, another deadly place. Cuba, another deadly place.
Yeah, what do they call it again? Santanera or something like that?
I don't know, but I've been hearing Honduran and Obia so deadly.
That's the powerful one.
Yeah, but I don't really get involved with them people, man. So I don't worry about them things there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just go on, try live life. Yeah, man. Well, it's one thing I want to tell all the churches in Cayman Islands, all the pastors, these people that you say were God-chosen people, you better pray for them now because they need it now. Because they're taking some licks up now, my friend. So, need to pray harder for Israel now. I don't know if she can cover this one, because there's so many lies being told up there. But let me tell you, my friend, Iran, you know how it go, man. When a man would strap himself down with explosives, kill off people, what he wouldn't do, Chalo. So death don't mean nothing to them.
Yeah, well, you also have to ask what makes a man go to that extreme too.
Chalo, I believe, this morning I was thinking about that hate. These people is born in hate, and it's got to be some way to take it out. And this is what they do, man. They fight war. And like I said, death is glory to them. You understand? So, I don't know, but United States and Israel, they started up a hands nester, man. Let me tell you something. Maybe America would have to do what they did in Japan,
What, nuclear bomb?
The Japanese was the same way with them. To stop them, you have to drop something nuclear on them.
Well, let us pray that it doesn't go that far.
Right. I'm with you. But just remembering some history, just 80 odd years ago, America had to do that, and they come in like them Iranians did the same thing. The more them you kill, the more come.
And there's even question whether they had to do it, but anyway, that's history.
Yeah, man. Anyway, have a good afternoon, Lord, buddy.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah, man, all the time.
So, I was about to tell you a story. The story of President Trump, General Dan Raisin Kane, and the Strait of Hormuz. General Dan Kane isn't some obscure figure. He's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the top military officer in the United States. But what makes Kane interesting isn't the title, it's the reputation behind it. He's known as a straight shooter, a guy who doesn't dress things up, doesn't play political games, and doesn't tell presidents what they want to hear. He tells them what they need to know. And that, by all accounts, is exactly why Trump liked him. You know, people close to the administration say Trump admired Kane's bluntness. He liked that Kane didn't come into the Oval Office with the flowery PowerPoints or long-winded speeches. He came in with facts. He came in with experience. And he came in with a kind of calm, almost stubborn clarity that Trump found refreshing. That's part of why Trump pulled him into the role. He wanted someone who would give him the unvarnished truth. And that brings us to Iran. According to multiple reports in the lead up to the conflict, General Kane warned Trump again and again, if the U.S. attacks Iran, Tehran could close the Strait of Hormuz. Not might, not maybe, could, and likely would. Kane laid out the details. Iran had spent years preparing for exactly that scenario. Naval mines, drones, anti-ship missiles, small, fast attack boats. He explained that the strait is narrow, crowded, and incredibly vulnerable. In fact, he said publicly that it's a tactical, complex environment, which is military speak for this place is a nightmare to keep open during a war. Because Trump didn't just nod and accept that, he pushed back. He pushed back hard. Great visionary that he is. According to the reporting, Trump told his advisors he believed Iran would capitulate before taking such a step. In other words, he thought Iran wouldn't dare close the strait because doing so would isolate them internationally and wreck their own economy. He argued that the U.S. Navy could reopen the waterway if needed, that American power would deter Iran from making such a drastic move. So picture that moment. On one side of the table, you've got General Dan Kane, decades of military experience, years studying Iran, a man who has read every intelligence assessment twice. On the other side, you got President Trump, the greatest leader and visionary that mankind has witnessed. A military genius in his own right, who once stated that he knew more than all his generals. He's confident, instinct-driven, convinced that Iran would surrender before risking everything. Two men, two worldviews, one very narrow stretch of water. And as we now know, General Dan Raisin Kane was the man who was right. Iran did move to close the Strait of Hormuz once the conflict began. Commercial ships were attacked, oil tankers were hit, and the shockwaves are rippling through the global economy as I speak. CUC sent out this email to its customers this morning. You probably have it in your inbox if you get your bills and stuff by email. It reads, with recent tensions in the Middle East, some customers have contacted us with questions about whether global events could affect fuel prices and in turn electricity bills. While CUC does not source fuel directly from the Middle East, the region plays an important role in global crude oil markets. Changes in production levels or geopolitical conditions can influence international refined diesel prices. Diesel is currently used to generate the majority of electricity in Cayman, so local fuel costs may reflect broader global price trends. Because fuel costs are passed through and can impact electricity bills, you bet they can, we encourage customers to remain mindful of their energy use. Your mid-month consumption report is a helpful way to track usage, and you can also log into MyCUC to sign up for daily energy use alerts. For customers who wish to follow fuel prices more closely, CUC publishes monthly fuel cost information on our website and shares updates through our social media channels. CUC would like to assure customers that April fuel costs remain stable when compared to March. This will be reflected in bills to be issued in May. As we move into the warmer months when electricity usually naturally rises, it will be especially important for customers to monitor their energy consumption, particularly with the potential for future changes in fuel prices. Now here comes the important part. We do anticipate increases in fuel costs ahead, and unfortunately these are likely to coincide with the hottest months of the year, which will affect electricity bills. Closely tracking and managing energy use during this period can help customers better control their monthly cost and reduce the import of these expected fuel increases. That was from CUC. That was an email I found in my inbox this morning. It's 1 o'clock. Time to see what's making headlines.
Covering Little Cayman, Kim and Bride.
Cover me.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Elizabeth Charles. The credit union is marking Women's Month 2026 by recognizing women who, quote, give to gain and lift their communities. In its March newsletter, the credit union reports hosting its second annual Women's Month Roundtable on March 19th, bringing together a panel for an evening of discussion on leadership, service, and purpose-driven growth. It was streamed live for wider participation by us here at Radio Cayman. Under this year's theme, Give to Gain, members were invited to nominate women who lead with purpose and create opportunities for others, with honorees spanning policing, social work, health, education, finance, and community service. The newsletter also notes a legacy of women in leadership at the credit union, including a 100% female executive team and half of board and committee positions held by women. In international news, President Donald Trump is telling allies to, quote, go get your own oil from the Strait of Hormuz, warning the United States will not always step in to help. In social media posts reported by the BBC, he and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth say other countries, including NATO partners, must be ready to fight for themselves in the Gulf. In other news, Australia's online safety watchdogs say major social media firms are not doing enough to enforce the country's ban on under 16 users. In its first report since the December 10th law took effect, the e-safety commissioner raises significant concerns, including Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube still allowing children to access accounts. Those are the latest headlines. I'm Elizabeth Charles.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
At HSA, we strive to provide the highest standard of care with compassion, integrity, and dedication. And so we say thank you, Cayman, for continuing to make us the most awarded organization on island by voting us the best of Cayman Islands in 9 medical categories. Your support reminds us why we do what we do, to serve the Cayman community with kindness and excellence. To find out more about our award-winning services, visit hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
On the 6th of December, 1960, at 8:20 a.m., the St. Clair Petrolor vessel from National Bulk Carriers was 950 miles off of Trinidad, carrying 29 Caymanians. The ship was rocked by 4 separate explosions in the space of just 30 seconds, causing various parts of the ship to erupt in fire. The first explosion was in the bow of the ship, the second in the number 4 hatch, the third in the number 11 hatch, with the fourth in the aft tunnel doors. Vigorous attempts were made to extinguish the intense flames, but with no success, and the captain gave the signal to abandon ship, and the crew filled up and lowered the 2 remaining lifeboats into the water. Following a head count, it was discovered that 2 crew members were missing and unfortunately were never seen again. The lifeboats were tied together and a sea anchor was cast out to prevent the boats from drifting too quickly. The St. Clair sank that afternoon, and the men continued to drift at sea for hours until being rescued that night by the English ship named the Mary Ellen Conway with an Italian crew. The men were transported to Brazil, where they were later flown home via Trinidad and Jamaica.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
My earliest recollection when I was in high school is looking forward to Saturday mornings. Radio Cayman had my favorite show, the Top 15 Countdown. It was then hosted by Lomax Mankin and sponsored by Funky Tanks. A couple years later, I got a job there. I was able to host that same show all by myself. It would be a countdown of the 15 best-selling records on the island, one by one, till we get to the top. Those were the good old vinyl days. This is Alfred T.A. Radio Cayman. Want to wish you a happy 50th anniversary and keep on jamming till infinity and beyond.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. Let's make our usual check on the weather here. It's 83 degrees in Georgetown. Feels like 88. And the wind out of the east-northeast at almost 15 knots. And the forecast is for a windy afternoon. This evening, partly cloudy, and tonight, partly cloudy. The wind is expected to be east to northeast at 15 to 20 knots with higher gust. And you boaters out there, please note that a small craft alert is in effect. Seas are rough with wave heights of 6 to 8 feet. And as far as the radar is concerned, looking clear around the Grand Cayman area. Some scattered spots of rain, and but the same thing over with the Sister Islands. Well, we have open line until about 1:30. At 1:30, we're going to have some guests coming in talking about supporting families of children with Down syndrome. We've been hearing a lot about Down syndrome this month, as they have been having an awareness campaign. So we're going to close out the month with some more information about that. And we were talking about fuel, the war in the Middle East, and the impact of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. Did you just hear on the news? Trump is telling the people who depend on the oil that comes out through the Strait of Hormuz, go get your own oil out of there. I caused it to be closed, but you can't get any oil. Go get it yourself. I'm not going to help you. They can close it, do whatever they want with it. you were hearing about gas going up to $4 in I think that's the average now, the national average, which, you know, for us that's cheap, $4 US. You know, we wish we were paying $4 US, right? But for them, they consider that expensive. And I actually saw a report with it was a picture of a gas station in Pasadena, California. It was the regular gas was, I think, $6.55. You know, 5 cents short of $7 for a gallon of gas at this gas station in Pasadena, California. And today, it looks like maybe Trump is, you know, stepping back from, you know, total annihilation of Iran. The stock market rallied today after President Trump reportedly told administration officials that he would be willing to end the war in Iran without a full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. And he told the New York Post that the war won't last much longer. But then, you know, I don't know, a lot of confusing communications have been coming out of the White House that kind of leaves people guessing at exactly what the intentions are from Washington. And that seems to be part of the game in a way. Either that or they just don't know what they're going to do. But sometimes it seems like they just, you know, throw things out there just to keep people off balance. So we just have to watch and see. But it looks like one way or another, you know, CUC is expecting fuel to increase in the coming weeks, months. You know, and we're going to see that in our light bill coming down the line here, and I guess into the summer, because you know, they buy the oil way ahead of time, right? But we do have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello, you're on the air with Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, it's okay. I got some work to do, but I'm waiting on the planning inspector now to inspect the site so I can go ahead with cutting some trenches with a jackhammer with the excavator. And I heard you on there talking about the gasoline prices, all that stuff I keep up with. Yes, serious times. The cost of living for every one of us in the Cayman Islands because of this war. Yeah, the price is like $4.19, and before the war in the U.S. it was $2.84. In California, $7.17 U.S.
Yep.
And here's a major problem. The Philippines government issued a state of emergency because they're running low on their power plant supplies for diesel and all of that, and they're supplied from the Persian Gulf. And the last information I gathered, there was 3,200 ships trapped in that area and couldn't move out because of the risk.
Say that number again.
3,200 ships and 20,000 seafarers are on those ships, and some of the ships are running low on food supplies like stores because it's almost a month now.
Yeah.
They have to stock up with stores for the crew. If they carry in 25, average ships carry 20 to 24, like the Ruby size tankers and the bigger ones. The LNG tankers carries around 25 to sometimes 35. It's a major problem, and it's a choke point, and they said global food is disrupted. The trade for foodstuffs coming from Far East to the Persian Gulf and then having to go through the long route to get to Europe. And the country of Australia depends on gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel from the Persian Gulf, and they have a shortage. Now United States going to take up the slack with supplying Australia, New Zealand with their supplies, and remember now we're dependent on the U.S. and St. Croix it is for getting our gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. And these tankers are being paid an enormous amount, historic amounts, to transport gasoline from Texas and Louisiana to Australia. And a lot of the tankers are being chartered for that route and also going to other places in the Far East. I have never in my 45 years of tracking shipping movements know about the amount of ships that is headed to pass through our waters within the next, from now right on till the next few months.
I mean, well, like what kind of increase you talking about?
An increase like 150 more ships on an average, say on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
But 150 more is coming through here, and they've been passing from this week and next week, taking oil from United States to Australia and all over the world. India and Taiwan and Japan. Japan has sent all their biggest, most of their biggest tankers. They're coming this way to load up to go back to Japan because Japan is strangled now with lack of crude oil going to Japan, Korea, and from Saudi Arabia and Iran,
coming out of the Gulf.
Places. Yeah, correct. Now, some Chinese ships they are allowing through the Straits of Hormuz. They're called friendly countries to Iran, like China. Even India got some of their ships moving through. Vietnam, but all the communist countries they're putting an ease on them. They call them friendly. They're friends. But other countries, they have a blockade on them, and it's very dangerous. And
yeah, it's not something where they said Iran said they were going to run it like a toll booth.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, it's a narrow. The passage I think is 27 miles wide, where the ships have to go through. And as I look on and hear about these ships that are targeted and missiled and drone attacks on them, nearly every one of them ships I have communicated with passing the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting, yes. They have shot up about 15 ships so far. And what I checked, out of that 15, there were 9 of them that I has communicated with passing through this area. And the Ukrainians shot a missile from a small boat into one of the tankers that came by here to do a tribute for our Caymanian seamen. Remember this big green-colored Norwegian tanker named BW Everest? The Russians bought it and loaded it in Russia to come to Europe with Russian LNG. And it was 130 miles off Malta in the Mediterranean when a boat armed with explosives directly rammed the hull of this giant tanker and blowed her up and set her afire. Everybody was survivors. Now it's a threat to the Italian coast. This giant tanker is burnt out and still got in cargo and lots of oil, and they're trying to get it salvaged and pull it away from drifting aground. So remember that big tanker came by and blew its horns for our Caymanian seamen as a tribute and salute. It made me feel so bad looking at that the ship is destroyed and they will have to tow it and then scrap it if they can get it to some scrap yard, or take it and pump it out and then to the scrap yard. That's the things that by doing what I do, knowing about all these things.
Well, you're communicating with people who actually go there, right? So.
Yes, correct. Surely. There is one coming now from Oman loaded with fuel, and we got the 3 ships, like I talked about last week, loaded with the Arab fertilizer, bound for United States.
Well, that's going to
And
be
that's
more
gonna-
expensive too. Fertilizer is going to be more expensive, which means that it's going to cost the farmers more money. So the food that they grow is going to be more expensive.
Yes, everything going to impact the cost of living in the Cayman Islands because of it. The war in Ukraine and Russia, America used to buy millions of tons of fertilizer. Now they can't get it from there, and their alternate source was Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, places like that. And now they can't come from there. Only those that are en route to United States going to be passing by here within the next 2 weeks. Is 4 of them loaded with fertilizer, but that's it until that war settles down. So it's going to be a reduction in the amount of fertilizer United States has for growing crops. So that means the price, fruits and vegetables and all that, perishables, all of that can go up and increase for us here in the Cayman Islands. So this war has a tremendous impact on every single one in the Cayman Islands, some form or fashion of the other.
Mm-hmm.
And remember now, United States, we are dependent on them for our food supplies, and they are in a massive war with Iran. So, and we actually need to secure food supplies from other places, Honduras, maybe Colombia, Brazil, or Jamaica got food to waste up there. I mean, fruits,
Yeah,
vegetables.
but, we always hear about that. But it seems like when you dig into the facts, it's easier said than done.
Exactly. Yes, but the seaboard sun comes Grand Cayman on a weekly basis from Jamaica. And that also brings stuff from Jamaica, along with the many cars that is brought into the island. But let me tell you, I witnessed this for myself 6 weeks ago. I was in Jamaica, and I toured the area more than ever before. And I was just impressed to see the amount of fruits and vegetables is all along the roadside.
Oh,
being
yeah.
sold, and thousands of watermelons, pineapples, young coconuts, you name it. Everything is along the road. And
When was it that you went there?
that's about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what did you see? Did you go to the western part of Jamaica where where Melissa came in?
I was the St. Elizabeth area up on the Red Hills area where the red mole is. There you can see where the rain washed the red mole down into the lowland, and it's still all gutted out, and they need it fixed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've been hearing the recovery is still very slow as far as the rebuilding and that sort of thing.
Yeah, correct, right. In that area, there were homes with windows still blown out and upstairs buildings, and they never got the windows put back, and numerous things in that area. So I seen a farm, this is quite interesting, about an acre of tomatoes in a farm, and the tomatoes were ripe on the ground, I would say in the thousands. And they said, we can't sell them, the market is overglooded. So they just stay in there and rotting.
Wow.
Watermelons, all kinds of things, cabbage, lettuce, cocos. So if we had a boat going to Jamaica and get the agricultural approval to bring stuff from Jamaica, it's just maybe a day and a half, 2 days, get it from Jamaica to Cayman and get it fresh. We're up, we're getting a lot of stuff from Miami that could have been in Miami for 2 or 3 weeks coming from Central America, and then we get it back to Grand Cayman. Then the bad weather comes, and our cargo of perishables stays down there refrigerated, can be 3 weeks before we get it in Cayman Brac. So we are getting a lot of stale produce because of that same thing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though is getting that supply chain from neighboring countries that very possibly might be able to supply us with fresher vegetables and so forth.
Yeah, and it can be inspected by the agricultural
but putting
specialist.
it all together seems to be a bit of a challenge.
It is a challenge, yeah. And then they can get the agricultural experts to approve and inspect and improve and give a license free to go and do the trade, because Honduras has enormous amounts of fruits and vegetables. They're one of the biggest producers of bananas. And let me tell you something interesting now. Honduras is supplied with Russian fertilizer for growing their crops. So millions of tons has been coming there from Russia, growing the bananas, and we eat the same bananas here in the Cayman Islands that are grown from that Russian fertilizer, ammonium nitrate and urea and white phosphate and that kind of thing. So Honduras got a trade with arrangements with Russia to supply them. Also, China supplies Honduras with fertilizer, and America as well, but all three of those places.
Well, speaking of Russia, I see Trump has allowed a Russian tanker to, supply Cuba with some oil.
Yeah, she arrived there yesterday morning on Anatoly Kolodkin. That's the Russian super tanker. It was drafting 43 feet, and that can go in alongside the dock there in Matanzas, Cuba. That's where they have the oil refinery and pump out the crude oil, and then they will refine it there. 730,000 barrels, and that will last him roughly only 1 week for powering the power plants and the other things. Their consumption is like 100,000 barrels daily for the major power plants in Cuba. And there's another one anchored off Venezuela, a small tanker with 200,000 barrels, and that expects to sail from Venezuela and pass north of Cayman Brac and go down to Cienfuegos or otherwise Santiago, Cuba, and discharge that cargo. So they has got some relief. And one other ship is coming, and Russia plans to send a few more ships from the Russian port of Primorsk, where that ship loaded from.
So you get all this information from, your contacts with all the shipping and so forth?
Yes, correct.
Very interesting.
Yes, it is interesting.
So
I keep up with the world activities, not only local. I keep up with the world activities.
So more Russian ships will be coming to Cuba?
Yes, more Russian ships, like super tanker size ships, will be loading cargoes and coming to Cuba to replenish their.
I mean, but the tanker, more tankers are going to be bringing fuel to Cuba then.
Correct. More tankers, yeah. The one named Seahorse is off Venezuela. They said it's a Russian tanker, but it's a Greek-owned tanker. But the one that is brought the big cargo is a Russian flag. That's on the north coast of Cuba, up in a harbor.
Well, that should ease things up for the Cuban situation, because I know they're in dire straits.
Yes, it will be. That's really alarming that you're banned from getting crude oil and diesel and gasoline. You just think if the Cayman Islands was like that ships could come to bring gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel, what we would be faced with here. So that's how the Cubans are in such a huge island with so many people.
Yeah, and they've had complete blackouts. I mean, no electricity anywhere.
That is right. That's terrible. That reminds us when we had the Hurricane Paloma, how the island was without electricity, and Spot Bay District was without electricity for roughly 3 months before we got all the poles.
Don't forget Ivan. You had Paloma, we had Ivan.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be how the Cubans are experiencing it, the hardships without electricity and food supplies. But they have a lot of provisions as well, fruits and vegetables like Jamaica. But they need that fuel to keep them going.
Yeah, well, without fuel, it seems like everything just kind of grinds to a halt, right?
Surely. Yeah, that's the main thing to keep things going, yes.
Well, Raymond, thank you so much for checking in and updating us on the information that you get from all the passing vessels. A lot of us don't realize the kind of traffic that comes through the Caribbean and right into our waters that is connected to the world situation.
Yeah, that is right. It's absolutely alarming, the amount of ships that pass these islands at any given time to the southwest, the Grand Cayman between there and 60 Mile Bight. From western Cuba to southwest to Grand Cayman, anything from 25, 35 to 50 ships. They got to look out they don't run into each other. That's one of the busiest shipping lanes in the Western Hemisphere, next to the Florida Straits. And most of that is going to Panama Canal from United States and Mexico.
Well, Raymond, nice talking to you.
Shirley, good afternoon.
I got to go take a break and get some guests in here. Good to hear from you.
Okay, fine. Very well. Good.
You take care. Yeah, it's 1:30. We're going to take a break, and now when we come back, we're going to be talking about supporting families of children with Down syndrome. Stay with me.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Do you know a Caymanian living and working overseas who's doing big things and making us proud? Cayman Connection has officially opened nominations for the 2026 Making Waves Awards, celebrating Caymanians who are making a positive impact around the world. If you're thinking about somebody right now, it's no time like the present to nominate them and give them the recognition they deserve. The process is simple and doesn't take too long. Just visit caymanconnection.org/nominate. Nominations close April 13th. It's time to big up our people. Do it today.
Kirk Freeport's Easter at Bayshore is back. Hop over to the Bayshore Mall on Saturday, April 4th from 4 to 6 p.m. for an egg straw special Easter celebration. Meet the Easter Bunny, enjoy sweet treats, and join the fun with a scavenger hunt, chocolate prizes, face painting, games, and more. And the best part? It's all free, including free parking behind the Bayshore Mall. Visit kirkfreeport.com for details. Happy Easter from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Hello, Cayman. This is George. From April 1976, I've been tuned in, listening in, and calling in to Radio Cayman from the first time, the initial broadcast, and continue up until today. So I want to congratulate Radio Cayman and the whole entire staff.
Hold on a little bit longer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. We've been learning about Down syndrome during the awareness campaign this month. In this segment, we're discussing supporting families of children with Down syndrome. And joining me now are Cynthia Powell. She is the genetics coordinator at the Health Services Authority, and also Laura Kelly, a speech and language therapist. Ladies, good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Afternoon. Thanks for having us.
Educate us a little bit here about what Down syndrome is. I mean, it covers quite a spectrum, right?
Definitely. It's such an important conversation to have, especially because when people hear Down syndrome, there's a lot of emotions mixed with it. But in a nutshell, I'll take you back to science class. We have 46 chromosomes, and basically half are from mom, half are from dad. There are 23 pairs in total. Chromosome 21 is the main one affected. So we normally have two chromosomes, 21. And someone who has Down syndrome has an extra chromosome, so 3 in total. So chromosomes carry our genetic instructions, so having that extra genetic material affects how the body and brain develop from very early pregnancy, and this can lead to differences in learning, speech, muscle tone, and sometimes even medical conditions such as heart, hearing, thyroid issues. However, every child is unique, and with the right support, early intervention, children with Down syndrome can continue to learn, grow, and thrive.
So there are varying degrees of severity?
Well, yes. So in the sense, certain disabilities are more pronounced. So maybe they have more issues with vocalizing and being able to speak, while others do not, and they're much better and can communicate at a much better rate. Some are born with congenital heart defects, while others are not necessarily affected. So there can be different variations of what is affected.
So how does Down syndrome affect speech? Is it varying degrees of that?
So definitely there's varying degrees of speech and language difficulties. When we look at the developmental continuum of speech and language, we know that individuals with Down syndrome are going to be about 6 months behind. So they're going to start saying their first words at around 16 months of age, rather than between that 10 and 12 month mark. We see some individuals with Down syndrome who have, all of them have very low muscle tone, but some, due to the low muscle tone, have a really hard time being intelligible. So their speech sounds very garbled. It sounds muffled. They slur their speech because they have a hard time coordinating their tongue, lips, and jaw in order to facilitate the sounds in words.
How soon do parents know that they will have a Down syndrome child?
So every case is different. Some can find out while pregnant, while others find out after they've given birth.
And what are the initial steps that are taken?
Okay.
Especially if they find out before birth. Just get a little closer to that mic.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. So in the case of screening, what screening is available? So they have ultrasound and maternal blood tests that they do on the first trimester to find out what are the risks of having a Down syndrome child. They also have a test called Panorama, or non-invasive prenatal screening, which helps to also know the risk of having a child with Down syndrome. They look at the DNA fragments in the maternal blood. And although there are screenings, it's not a confirmation, it's not a diagnosis. So a diagnosis can then, if the risk is there, a diagnostic test can be offered. So for the diagnostic test, we have what we call a CVS, or a chorionic villus sampling, which tests a small piece of the placenta early on in the pregnancy. And then you have amniocentesis, which is done later in the pregnancy, which gives a confirmation of that extra chromosome 21.
Are you involved directly in informing the parents of the results?
Yes, I am. So I do genetic counseling. I'm also a registered nurse. So what I do is, once I'm informed of a baby that has Down syndrome, I call the family, I explain what I do, and I bring them over and we have a session. And sessions can be as long as 30 minutes to an hour, depending how many questions the parents and the families have.
So, I mean, that must be quite a traumatic episode there when you inform them. But what do you have to do to help them through that?
It is a very emotional circumstance, and every family is different. Some are, more aware about it, or might know someone and, might be more familiar with it. Others, it takes them really hard. Families experience emotions from joy, anger, shock, disbelief, denial. There's so many emotions, but we're there to help guide them through this process because, having a Down syndrome child, it's not the end of the world. Every child's unique. They can bring so much love, and it's a journey. So, picture you thinking you're going to Italy, but you're going to Greece instead. So they're both beautiful places. It's just a different journey.
But I mean, it's a life changer, though, right? I mean, to have a child with Down syndrome.
Definitely.
I mean, a parent has to make a lot of adjustments.
Definitely.
Give us an idea of what they must do.
Well, I think when I look back, I want to make sure they understand what Down syndrome is, explain the scientific part, what it means for their child, what kind of symptoms might happen, and then focus on early intervention, things that support systems, even have brought in, a life experience. So a family who has a child with Down syndrome, what better person to tell them what they're going to expect from someone who has lived it. So we are there to guide them, comfort them, and kind of give them a place to explain or express what they're feeling. But we want to make sure that we are able to support them. We have health specialists. We have different fields from cardiologists to pediatrics. We have genetic clinics available. And I always tell them, that you're not getting rid of me that quickly. So if you need support, if you just don't know where to turn, you have someone that you can turn to.
As a speech therapist, how early do you start your intervention?
Early intervention is critical. It's critical for many reasons, especially for brain development. There's that specific window between the age of birth to 3 years old. In the past, traditional models looked at referring a child who was 2 years and above. Currently, I am conducting a pilot project of the program Babel Bootcamp, and this program specifically targets individuals with Down syndrome. So I'm working very closely with the neonatologists as well as the NICU nurses and pediatricians to know that when they do have a baby who is diagnosed with Down syndrome, they can do an immediate referral. So this is after birth, an immediate referral to me for Babel Bootcamp. And then at the 2-month mark, I will sit down and have a consultation with the family, go over the program. It's a evidence-based program out of Arizona State University. They are currently piloting it for Down syndrome as well, but they've done multiple other populations that show that it can actually help decrease and eliminate speech and language difficulties from the age of 3 years to 5, because you are seeing babies when it matters. You start at 2 months and you're seeing them up until 2 years if they need it. And you're looking at how they babble. And there's no other program out there that looks at early babbling stages. We often see the child and we know, okay, they have Down syndrome, they're going to be delayed, they're going to have a gap between what they understand and what they're able to express. But with Babel Bootcamp, it's just so unique that it focuses on those early days of babbling to ensure that we don't see a gap in that understanding and that expressive vocabulary, and that we're guiding parents and coaching parents on how to engage with their child starting at 2 months of age. And I currently have a little one. I think she's now about 7. No, she's 5 months. And it's a really, really rewarding program to see the parents take on the strategies that I give them every week and to see the differences in the child from week to week as well. And it has been great. And they also were connected with other families who had lived experience. And I think that is so important for these families to know that they are not alone here on island. There are others out here who have similar experiences and are on that journey. It might look a little bit different, but it's nice to have that support here in the Cayman Islands.
So in this Babel Bootcamp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking to see whether they're at a certain stage of babbling, that they're not developing as they should?
So it's a proactive program rather than a reactive program. So you're actually looking at the strengths and not the deficits or the weaknesses. So you're starting at 2 months, and wherever that child is at 2 months, you're going with that and progressing them through the stages. You're not looking to see, okay, are they delayed at 2 months? Because the likelihood too with Down syndrome at 2 months with babbling, they're probably on par. And that's what I'm finding with the babies that I'm seeing, is that they are where they should be. But then this gap widens by the time they reach
as the
a
time
year.
goes on.
Exactly. There's, at least that 6 months gap in that early year. So what Babble Bootcamp does is it tries to decrease that gap and give the parents the tools that they need to really enhance communication.
So how long have you been doing that?
Babble Bootcamp is a new program. We just started last quarter, but I've been doing speech therapy for a very long time. But it's a new pilot program. So our neonatologists at HSA, as well as the pediatricians, they know about it. I also did a presentation last year in May for the pediatric symposium. So the other private pediatricians and that were there are also aware of the program.
What kind of results are you getting, even though it's been a short period?
I'm getting really good results, especially with the family that I'm working with. We do video. They have to send me 2 to 3 videos a week of their child, and then I'm coaching them on what the next steps are. They are really, really welcoming to the program and thankful for it. And I'm seeing gains week to week because the baby's so young, right? And her brain is so plastic. So she's able to really gain as much as she can right now in the early stages.
We're going to take a little break here, but we'll be right back.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Freedom, Kim Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
If you have an objection to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your...
Don't do it, Tevin! I still love you. I have since the day we stole your mom's car and got matching dolphin tattoos.
Oh, Lordy.
Janelle? From spring break 08?
Yes, it's me.
Janelle, you've got to move on.
We're like the wedding guest that doesn't ruin the ceremony. CG Brit-K. Good like that.
Good news for babies. The updated national immunization schedule now includes an important improvement to the hexavalent vaccine, protecting babies against 6 serious diseases, including hepatitis B. Hep B can cause lifelong liver problems, including cancer and cirrhosis. Your baby will get the shots at 2, 4, and 6 months with a booster at 18 months. Vaccination trains the immune system to fight against infections and keep the community healthy. Talk to your doctor about the updated vaccine schedule today. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, Environment and Sustainability and the Public Health Department.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and we're discussing supporting families of children with Down syndrome. In the studio with me is Cynthia Powell. She's the genetics coordinator at HSA, and also Laura Kelly, speech and language therapist at HSA. And if you would like to be part of the discussion, you're welcome to give us a call, 1-800-534-8255. That's courtesy of Flo. You can also reach us on 949-8037 or 949-6990. And our WhatsApp number is 925-3261. So how common is Down syndrome on a worldwide basis?
So it is common worldwide. It is about globally occurs approximately 1 in every 700 to 1,000 live births. It can occur in any pregnancy, regardless of ethnicity, background, or family history. So it can occur in any family, and although the chances increase with maternal age, you still do find that you see them at a younger age because younger mothers are having the children, not the older ones as much. So, yeah, it's quite common.
So, I mean, do you have to feel or deal with parents who feel guilty when they get this news, or they think it's something that they've done?
Right. So you do have parents who feel like, oh, it was due to me, but it's not their fault. It's, there's no blame right there. It's something that occurs randomly or sporadic event when in cell division with the egg and sperm. So it's not something that, that is necessarily passed down, although certain types of Down syndrome have a higher risk of being passed down if you had a child. But majority, the risk is not as high.
So it's not something that runs in families.
It's not something that runs in families. It's something that is sporadic. However, it depends because there's different types of Down syndrome. It's also called trisomy 21, but you have the full trisomy 21, which is about 95% of cases. And that's a sporadic event. And then you have translocation, which is about 3 to 4% of cases. And that's when a piece of the chromosome 21 attaches to another chromosome. And then you have mosaic Down syndrome, which is about 1 to 2%. So it's just a translocation one that tends to be the higher risk for passing it down.
I have a question here on WhatsApp. Ask about Down's. Please ask them, this is a little bit off of Down syndrome, but please ask them if they are aware of Prader-Willi syndrome and if there are any support groups or specialized services available here in Cayman. Do you know about that?
So Prader-Willi syndrome, yes. It is a condition where, the chromosomes are also affected. We don't have much individuals with Prader-Willi syndrome here in Cayman, but we do have a handful. There's no local support group that we have here as in regards to getting together and running groups. That might be a good idea if families are interested. As well, there is support systems outside, obviously online, that, those with Prader-Willi syndrome would be directed to, but nothing locally per se.
Now, that's something that there seems to be a very supportive, close-knit Down syndrome community in Cayman.
There is.
It makes a big difference?
It does. It makes a huge difference. Support is key, especially going through this journey, right? And having other individuals who have gone through something similar and have a child or even an adult with Down syndrome. It's really comforting to have that community. And there's T21, which is the non-for-profit, and they've been running some really nice groups for families. My little one is in the group, and then I also have a 17-year-old who is also part of that. So it's been nice seeing the dynamic of just the families coming together as well as the children and the teens and adults, because there are adults as part of the group as well.
Yes. And they're open to, if you're not sure or know about them as yet, they're open. They have a WhatsApp group chat and they can support each other with the knowledge that they have.
Well, what have you witnessed as far as, the benefits of having a support group like that?
I think that when they have questions or when they're, doing things like Special Olympics, it's that cheering on of community because, children and adults with Down syndrome are value members of our community. They deserve inclusion. They deserve support, respect, and opportunities to reach their full potential. So with T21, they provide opportunities to, join karate. If you don't have the financial means, they provide the financial means. They need to be a part of this community. They need to be included. They don't just have to go to a specific school. They can go to any public school. There's support out there for them.
And when it comes to communication, too, what's really nice is that families can see that their child is not alone. If their child is minimally verbal in the younger stages, and then they see a teenager who's using an augmentative and alternative communication device on a tablet or an iPhone, it's really nice for the parents to see that, wow, this could happen for my child, or seeing, a verbal communicator. And with Down syndrome, that community is very much into sign language. They like learning basic signs. So they often start that with their children when they are very young. And then you still see the teens and the grown-ups using signs as well when they're communicating or using the visuals. And it's just, it's really reinforcing to be able to say, okay, look, this is where my child is now, and this is where you are. Maybe my child can get there too.
You mentioned karate. Do sports like that, requiring a lot of coordination, does that enhance their development?
Well, I'm not a physiotherapist, but I would imagine it's your muscle tone is not as strong, so that maybe you can.
Yes, individuals with Down syndrome have low muscle tone. So I work with occupational therapists. I was working with a physiotherapist, and it's all about building that core stability and enhancing muscle tone. So things like karate, gymnastics, dance, everything that has to do with movement, coordination, swimming, running, is very encouraged within the Down syndrome community.
Yeah, I knew a young lady with Down syndrome. I mean, she's a great swimmer.
Mm-hmm.
So, those kind of things really
they get
help.
their medals.
They get their medals at the Special Olympics.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
They're so proud of them, too.
What kind of support is offered at HSA?
At HSA, we have speech and language therapy, occupational therapy. We have physiotherapy for adults. We used to have a pediatric physiotherapist, but no longer. And we provide a multidisciplinary approach. We don't believe in wait and see. Pediatricians know that if they have a baby who is born with Down syndrome, the early referrals will happen, especially for occupational therapy and physiotherapy, because we know that those children are going to be delayed in reaching their motor milestones. They're not going to crawl at the age that their neurotypical peers do. They're not going to sit up at the same age, and then we get into crawling and walking and so forth. So early referrals are key, and there's that outdated approach that used to be, oh, we'll just wait and see. But we know with Down syndrome that there's going to be a delay. And it's all about working together as a multidisciplinary team, as well as we are a family-centered approach. Family is key. We get the visions for the family, and then that's what we work on. Additionally, so for speech and language therapy, I'm looking at speech, so the way that they're moving their tongue, their lips, their mouth, their jaw to coordinate speech sounds for words. I'm also looking at understanding of language and what they're able to express, but then we also look at feeding and swallowing, and we do that from a very early age as well, because Down syndrome, individuals with Down syndrome have a larger oral cavity. It then gives this perceived notion that they have an enlarged tongue, but it's actually because their oral cavity is a smaller space to house their tongue. So they often have difficulties with oral motor processing and being able to feed safely and swallow safely. So we do that starting in the early stages. And then we also look at working with individuals across the lifespan, so birth to end of life.
So you do a lot of education for parents.
A lot of education. Yeah. Early intervention is all about parent coaching and parent intervention and teaching. And then even through those later stages too, you're helping with having the child access the curriculum. You're looking at how to get them out in the community. You're looking at functional goals rather than just the play. And we go from play, then we look at, curriculum and academics, and then we get into the naturalistic environment and what's going to be functional for them as they grow into teenagehood.
So you try and make them train them to take care of themselves?
We look at activities of daily living. So once we get into adolescence, we're really looking at, okay, how can we get you to be as independent as possible? Let's work on, and this is occupational therapists and speech and language therapists focus on it. So looking at making your own lunch, cleaning your room, making your bed, going out to a restaurant and being able to order food. I have one patient who is a teenager and she loves Starbucks, and she has an iPhone with an augmentative and alternative communication app on it called Touch Chat. So we programmed that with all of our favorite things in it. So we have Starbucks pink drink. We have Lady Gaga because that's her favorite singer. And she's really hard to understand.
She has good taste.
She does have very good taste. So this is allowing her to go out to Starbucks, and if they don't understand that she wants the pink drink, she can then pull it up on her device and she can say pink drink. So we tailor it to the specific child. It's not cookie cutter, come in here and we do the same thing for everybody. We're really wanting to have meaningful interactions and meaningful life for all of these individuals.
It is 2:00, so we have to check in with the newsroom, but we'll be right back with more discussion on Down syndrome. Stay with us.
Yesterday,
Today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
With your latest headlines, I'm Elizabeth Charles. The credit union is marking Women's Month 2026 by recognizing women who, quote, give to gain and lift their communities. In its March newsletter, the credit union reports hosting its second annual Women's Month Roundtable on March 19th, bringing together a panel for an evening of discussion on leadership, service, and purpose-driven growth. It was streamed live for wider participation by us here at Radio Cayman. Under this year's theme, Give to Gain, members were invited to nominate women who lead with purpose and create opportunities for others, with honorees spanning policing, social work, health, education, finance, and community service. The newsletter also notes a legacy of women in leadership at the credit union, including a 100% female executive team and half of board and committee positions held by women. In international news, President Donald Trump is telling allies to, quote, go get your own oil from the Strait of Hormuz, warning the United States will not always step in to help. In social media posts reported by the BBC, he and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth say other countries, including NATO partners, must be ready to fight for themselves in the Gulf. In other news, Australia's online safety watchdogs say major social media firms are not doing enough to enforce the country's ban on under-16 users. In its first report since the December 10th law took effect, the e-safety commissioner raises significant concerns, including Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube still allowing children to access accounts. Those are the latest headlines. I'm Elizabeth Charles.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and let's take a quick look at the weather, the current conditions. It's 84 degrees here in Georgetown, feels like 88 degrees, and the wind is out of the east at about 10.5 knots, and the forecast is calling for a windy afternoon and windy tonight also. Winds are expected to be east to northeast at 15 to 20 knots with higher gusts, and boaters, take note, small craft alert is in effect. Seas are running at 6 to 8 feet. That's rough. And as far as the radar is concerned right now, we don't see any rain close by, so that's good. And I am talking with Cynthia Powell. She's a genetics coordinator at HSA, and also Laura Kelly, speech and language therapist. And we're talking about supporting families of children with Down syndrome. And before we went to the news there, you just were mentioning an app on the phone. How much has technology helped in recent years?
Technology has really helped. Back when I first started using communication devices, they were devices, and families used to not want their child to use one because they said that it was archaic, because it was this big, clunky machine, essentially, that had a strap that they carried that barely worked. You had to plug it in, then it had batteries, and it, never was working. So technology has really come far when it comes to communication and having that available for children who are minimally speaking, or also for individuals with Down syndrome who often their speech is very difficult to understand. So you can now get apps on your phone as well as an iPad. So individuals with Down syndrome, especially the teenagers, they have the phone because that's cool, right? And it's inconspicuous, so they can just bring their phone up and use that to communicate. Whereas the children that I'm working with are using an iPad, and there's two different programs that I've mainly been using here on island. One is Perloquota Go, and one is called Touch Chat. And parents can purchase those through iTunes. And actually, April 20th to 27th, those apps are going on sale for 50% off. They do that every year for Autism Month, and it's a great time for families to be able to access that, but only access a communication app if a speech and language therapist has recommended it and that the child has tried it.
So how do you get children that have Down syndrome ready for adulthood?
All right. That is a very good question. Yes, because they're going to go through a couple changes. So normally they go to pediatric genetic clinic, and they go to, different specialists, and that's who they know all their life. But usually around age 16, the transition occurs. It's not something that, boom, we're never going to see you again. Mm-hmm. It's a transitional process. So it's going to take some time with the family's goal in mind as well. So it's not going to be, thrown in the deep sea kind of thing. So what we do then, so instead of going to the pediatric genetic clinic, then it would be the adult genetic clinic, going to GP services instead, establishing, puberty. They're going to go through that. So it's more about, okay, we're going to look at different things, mental and your health challenges as well. We got to look for support for that, and vocational and community support as well. So looking, okay, what can you do in the community? What can we work with in regards to getting you out there? Some find jobs, some don't. They just need that additional support. So it's a process, but it's not something that's scary in nature.
How well do they adjust as far as social skills?
Individuals with Down syndrome are very, very social. Some might even sometimes say overly social. So we're often working on social communication throughout the lifespan.
And you said that some will actually get jobs.
Yes, they get that support, and you have, Sunrise Adult Training Center that helps with vocational training and assists with that. You also have, oh goodness, it's slipping my mind. There's another organization out there, it'll come to me, that also helps in regards to either volunteering or, basically getting a community out there, education, or even job experience.
Inclusion Cayman does
Thank
a
you.
lot. Does a lot for that. They've supported a lot of my families as well. One of the pieces that I haven't mentioned at all about Down syndrome is we know that, you can... Down syndrome is visible, right? When you see someone, they have Down syndrome because of the facial characteristics. But what we actually need to know and remember is that only 50% of individuals with Down syndrome have an intellectual disability, which means 50% do not. Right? And I think when we see individuals with Down syndrome out in the community, we often see them as being younger and less competent than they actually are. My one piece of advice to the community is to always presume competence with anybody who has a disorder or a disability. And especially with those with Down syndrome, you might see a teenager out there with Down syndrome at Starbucks ordering a drink. And then when you're speaking to them, when they're asking for their drink, you're speaking to them as if they're a child. And that's a very important thing not to do, that you want to treat them like you would any other individual at that age. I often see or hear a lot of your voice changes slightly. You change your intonation when you're speaking with them. And you really shouldn't, because they are individuals just like us.
Is it part of the syndrome that they present as children?
They present younger and they look younger. It is. Yes, they do. They're shorter in stature. They have shorter fingers. And yes, they look a lot younger than they are. But we also need to keep in mind that we need to presume competence of every individual that we come across who have Down syndrome.
What do parents have to do as far as making their child more independent?
Well, it's a hard process because you want to protect them. Not everyone around might be as kind. However, encourage feeding yourselves, encourage bathing yourself, encourage, okay, can you do laundry? Just keep encouraging, help them become independent. And honestly, that's with every child. Yeah. The more you do the laundry for your child and they're going off to college, they'll never learn how to do laundry. So when they get to that stage. So it's more about encouraging as much skills as they can and they have that support and not, let me do it for you.
Yeah. Building those daily life skills that are going to be functional and meaningful for them throughout adulthood.
And that includes safety awareness and, social cues as well. It's an ongoing process from small until adulthood even.
So trying to teach them just as you would any other child, more or less. And do some parents have a problem, kind of giving a free pass as far as behavior, giving, not disciplining them as much as they would their other children?
I feel that. I can't say for sure because I'm not in their home, but I do feel it sometimes. And, as any other family, you do have families, not necessarily Down syndrome who would let their child get away with stuff. But they are capable of knowing no. They're capable of knowing boundaries. They're very smart individuals. And, so thinking that maybe I should not discipline them. No, they're just like every child. And they learn and understand what you're saying when no means no.
Yeah.
How independent can they become?
Every child is unique, so it's different to say they all will get to this level, or there's a variation. There's also other things that can be alongside with Down syndrome, such as autism as well, or other challenges depending on what has happened. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's also dependent on the family. It's dependent on the community networks and partnerships that they have and what's around in the community. In Canada, there are homes that some individuals with Down syndrome go into, group homes. Some go to vocational training like we have here with Sunrise Adult Learning Center. But it really depends what the community has as in terms of access for individuals, and also just family dynamics too, right? And how comfortable parents are with allowing that amount of independence.
We do have a WhatsApp call, I believe. So if you could put on your headphones there so you can hear the caller. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Talk Today. Hello.
Good afternoon, Chalo.
Yes, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon to you guys too.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I grew up with people having Down syndrome, and I found them to be very kind and respectful people.
They sure are.
And they're very loving, especially when they get attached to you.
Yes.
And my son once told me, he said, Daddy, they're always happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he said that in a good way. My son has a heart of gold, so. But I'm staying in England right now, and I noticed that in England, they don't discriminate people with Down syndrome. I've noticed in certain stores, some very high brand stores, like clothing stores, they have people with Down syndrome who help the cashiers. Like, if a person comes to the cashier to check out their stuff, they'll have the person with the Down syndrome to help to fold the clothes and put the clothes in the bag.
That's great.
So discrimination when it comes to people with Down syndrome is not tolerated here in England. And I don't think it should be tolerated in Cayman either.
Agreed.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call. Take care. What do you observe in our community as far as what he was just talking about?
I mean, individuals with Down syndrome can become anything they want. We've had a individual who was modeling, and there are models out there that have Down syndrome. They can do anything that they want, with limitations depending on how they are. But with support from the community, it's possible. So I really like what he says, that he hasn't seen that interaction. Well, he doesn't see it there. I personally have not seen it here in the community, because I'm always happy when I see my patients, I have so much love for them. They make you happy. They love music. They love to dance. And I just wished everybody saw them, how parents see them and how we see them, because they are pure gold, seriously. So
we have to stick a pin there and take a break. Be right back.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from April 13 to 17 at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Cineco's parametric insurance after hurricanes is now available for motor policies. Fixed automatic payouts cover incidental vehicle expenses like fuel, cleanup, and minor repairs. No claims, no damage required. $200 for comprehensive policies or $100 for third-party policies. Available exclusively through Cineco and included with all new motor insurance policies and upon renewal for current policies. Visit Cineco.ky today. Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
What matters most to you right now? The cost of living, housing, jobs, healthcare, safety? The Cayman Islands government has set 7 national priorities for 2026 to 2028, focused on areas that affect daily life, from preparing Caymanians for opportunity to improving quality of life and social stability, to strengthening Cayman's long-term resilience. Learn more about the 7 broad outcomes at gov.ky/priorities. 7 priorities, 1 Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. And how much impact do you think, like this awareness campaign that was T21 has been carrying out like this month? And I mean, they do it all the time. But how much impact does that have in the community as far as understanding and, accepting people with Down syndrome?
I think it has a big impact. And I think even though you're saying they do it all the time, I think this year we saw a larger turnout at the walk run that they had. We see more people understanding Down syndrome. And I think being able to do this even after the fact, not on World Down Syndrome Day, and doing it for other months too, really allows our community to hear what it is like to work with individuals who have Down syndrome and to know that they are able to live independent lives and they're able to progress from early childhood, all the way into adulthood.
What are the prospects for a person with Down syndrome, though, later in life? Parents aren't going to always be there. What's life like for them in the later years?
That's a very hard question because these are some concerns for parents as they get older as well. Because they get older, they might be the main carers at the time. But, there are support as well because, some may have siblings. Sometimes, they have, there's options available and every circumstance is different. I think that it's something that is, because I've joined support groups online as well where their concern is like, I'm going to pass away. Who's going to take care of my baby? Their baby might be 60 years old, mind you. And they are living much older than, prior years. So it is something that is a big concern. But, that has to be done case by case in the sense of how to go about it, family members, what else can be done.
You say Down syndrome people are living longer now. What has happened to change that?
I think, just with more research in regards to just taking better care, how, advances in technology, more screening in place, checking their thyroid, vision, cardiology advances. That is basically what's...
So it's just the general advancement in medicine. I mean, people in general are living living longer, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say to parents listening that may get the news that they're going to have a Down syndrome child?
It is... sorry, ask me the
What
question.
would you say to...
What would I say to them?
Yeah.
That they haven't gotten it or they just gotten it?
That they get the news that they're going to be having a Down syndrome child.
I think they need some time to process it. You know, it can be scary for some. So when they go through all the emotions, they need some time. I've seen where, you know, they were told by the physician and, you know, they're doing their best to explain. And that's why I then have them come to me. There's no time frame. I want to make sure I answer all the questions because there's multiple questions. I want to make sure they understand what this means, what the future brings, and then after that emotional process has happened, then we go to the next steps. Okay, let's focus on support. Let's focus on early intervention. Let's focus why it's important, and it's not the end of the world. The first thing I say when I meet them, say congratulations, or I call them congratulations on your new baby. That's first and foremost.
As you would with anyone.
Yes, exactly. I would tell them after they go through all of the processes of grief, denial, and all of that just like you are not alone. There's a big community here to support you, and early support makes a huge difference. I would also say that a diagnosis is not the end. It's just the beginning, as well as, your child is going to thrive and you're going to be the best parents to this little one, and they're not going to know any different.
We have another caller, so let's go back to your headphones. And good afternoon. You're on the air with Talk Today.
Yes.
Hello, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Glidden. It's been a while since I've called in.
I must say.
Yes. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
I wanted to say I am so relieved to hear this discussion. It's something that I have been meaning to call the show on and try to bring up. I still think, and I can hear it, that there is a lot of education that needs to be shared around in the Cayman Islands about this diagnosis and disability. I do not think that the Cayman Islands have enough recognition and acceptance of persons with Down syndrome, and I still am advocating for an anti-discrimination law because I think I've seen, in my journeys around on a day-to-day basis, I've seen where there's still a significant amount of discrimination against, persons with Down syndrome. And with this education that you guys are spreading, I think it could be more awareness for acceptance in our community. We have to realize, I was in the States for a number of years, and I was a guardian ad litem, and I worked with a significant amount of persons with Down syndrome as a guardian. And we have employers. They're some of the biggest employers in the U.S. employing persons with Down syndromes because we have there were laws that were in place against persons with disabilities or persons that that weren't to be discriminated against because they had disabilities. And so I'd like to see that in the Cayman Islands. I'd like to see us, become more aware. And glad that you ladies, I didn't catch the entire discussion. I'm just kind of tuning into the leg at the end of it as I usually do. But good work. I heard a few other callers calling in, and they had some good points too. But we definitely need more education on Down syndrome and persons with it, and let people realize that they should be accepted among normal people also, and they're actually some of the smartest people that I've ever met. I don't know how that works psychologically, but or neurologically, but they're some of the most intelligent people you can interact with. And as one of your guests was saying, they're so loving and tuned with a lot of humanness in terms of affection and I can't find the right words right now because I'm getting a bit emotional. I have a Down syndrome person living next to me for the last few years, and so that has also exposed me even more to a personal side of it, And anyway, I'll leave you because I know it's almost closing time, but that's what I wanted to offer for the discussion, Mr. Glidden.
Well, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Good to hear from you.
Okay, talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Your thoughts?
I think she's right. I think when you look at individuals with Down syndrome, they have this immense ability to care for others, and they have passions for others and passions for their interests. So I could see where she was going with that, because they really are in tune with others' emotions. I know a little one that I was supporting at one of the early childhood centers here. If any of the other kids were crying in the class, she was the first one over there to give a hug or to pat the child on the head. And it is this sense of just strong social connections to other people.
Yeah, and they're like any other. They have a sense of humor. They take the bus. Some can take the bus on their own. So I would love to see them more in the community. I would love for someone to be working either at fosters or you name it, whatever skills they're capable. I want to see them out there. I want to interact with them, and I hope that the community can embrace them and. Not just this month, but, as coming months, let's bring more awareness about individuals with Down syndrome and what they're capable of.
Cynthia Powell, Genetics Coordinator at HSA, and Laura Kelly, Speech and Language Therapist at HSA. Thank you so much for coming in and giving us, this enlightenment about Down syndrome.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Have a good afternoon. Well, that's it for Talk Today. It is 2:30, so I got to make my exit. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Charles Glidden. One love.
Talk Today is brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.